The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile. Enterprise Life. Enterprise. Your advantage. Bell Aqua Active. Bell Aqua Active. Stay true to originality.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show on television. Here on The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. It's live and interactive. Tonight, we're looking at the very troubling increased spate in street robberies. There's been a few in this month of September already. Tonight, we're tackling it from various perspectives. We'll speak to some victims. We'll show you some rather disturbing footages caught on CCTV camera, particularly in parts of Accra, on the activities of some armed robbers. Then we speak to the police and the Small Arms Commission on what can be done to reduce this increasing menace. It's interactive. Send us your comments and your views and your experiences on the WhatsApp number on the screen. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. So tonight we'll be telling you a story about an increasing spate of robbery attacks on our streets. There are parts of Accra which have become quite dangerous. Even in the day, we've chronicled a few reports for you. Later on, we will be given exclusive access to the MTTU Traffic Surveillance and Monitoring Center, where a number of police officers are monitoring over 3,000 cameras across the country. They're saying these cameras have been positioned at vantage points to check and prevent crime. We'll also speak to the Small Arms Commission on where the weapons are coming from. Why are so many young men, particularly on motorbikes, armed? And what can we do to reduce this? But let me chronicle a few major street robbery incidents that have occurred in this country in the months of June into September.
Violent crimes strike fear in the hearts of victims and witnesses. In the year 2021, the month of June and September stand out in the number of daylight robbery cases recorded. The plot, approach, and execution of the incidents are similar and leave their victims in fear and with injuries. In the month of June alone, a number of notable cases of daylight robberies occurred at different locations in the capital. On the 7th of June, a man was shot in the stomach in a daylight robbery incident by two armed men at Pig Farm, a suburb of Accra. He was pronounced dead 24 hours after being treated at the 37 Military Hospital. On the same day, two armed men broke into a forex bureau near Honeysuckle in Osu. They stormed the structure near the police headquarters and made away with an undisclosed amount of money. Some workers sustained injuries and were admitted at the 37 Military Hospital. The culprits in these two incidents are currently at large. On Friday, June 11, an unidentified man in an attempted robbery case attacked the driver of a Nissan Pathfinder with registration number GE 808811 on the Gimpa Fiesta Royal Road. On the 14th of June 2021, unidentified armed men on not less than 3 motorbikes crossed a bullion van and started shooting sporadically in Jamestown. In the process, 2 persons were shot dead instantly. 2 tellers in the bullion van escaped unhurt. The weapon of the policeman was also taken away, together with an unspecified amount of money. 3 months down the line, in September, there's been another week with a series of daylight robberies, similar to their plot, approach, and execution. On Tuesday, September 21, a robbery syndicate stalked a 33-year-old woman from a bank in a nearby vicinity and robbed her of a sum of 29,000 Ghana cedis at gunpoint near Apenkwa. Days after, within the same week, another incident of broad daylight robbery was recorded at Kwashiman, close to the local Bank of Africa bank. According to eyewitness accounts, the victim was robbed of a huge sum that had just been withdrawn from the bank. On Friday, residents of Sampa Valley, near the Wager barrier in the Gar South municipality, experienced yet another incident of broad daylight robbery. The robbers were 4 in number and were on two different motorbikes wielding guns under the cover of crushed helmets. The robbers crushed a white vehicle and snatched.
So that was Fento Tahir Fento chronicling some recent incidents of street robbery involving gun-toting young men, predominantly on motorbikes. Now, Zoe Abubedu has been speaking to the hawker who was shown in the video that was taken at Apenkwa, and also some onlookers who saw what actually happened for more details of that incident.
Just ahead of me is the CCTV, or the security cameras, that captured the whole event. So we'll be speaking to stakeholders involved to find out what can be done to make sure the confidence of the public is boosted. This is the City Newsroom. If you have watched the video, you would have realized that there was a hawker who approached the said lady's vehicle in question. He was trying to sell something to her when the whole incident happened. So I will be speaking to him. I have him here with me, and he'll be explaining to me what he saw on that day, what has happened after that day, and basically how he feels after the whole incident happened. This is still the City Newsroom.
I witnessed the part where the woman came to park under the traffic light. As a hawker, I approached the car and tried to sell my goods to her, but she declined. So I pleaded with her to give me money to buy food, but she turned a blind eye. Shortly after, I saw two motor riders pull up, one parked in front of her car and the other at the right-hand side of the car. The rider in front got down and came to the driver's side and shot to the ground. The rider on the passenger side was just firing shots randomly, and he hit a woman. I got scared and didn't know what to do. All I saw was the woman in the car handing over an envelope to the armed man by her door. I don't understand the language they were speaking. I came from Niger not too long ago to work, and this incident has left me in a state of fear. I haven't been able to sleep or eat since the incident. The victim couldn't speak until the police came to the scene. Even yesterday, I was invited to the police station for questioning on the issue. I was asked about my nationality and my job. They also went to inspect where I live. I don't feel safe, but I can't stop coming to work. How will I survive if I stop selling? I am traumatized by the incident. I could have been the one who got shot, but I am really grateful to God. I really wish I didn't witness such an incident.
So this is quite a busy area, and there are people who also trade in various activities here. Some selling phone accessories, others selling clothing, others footwear, and all that. And for them, there is usually a police vehicle on standby just across the other street. But when this whole incident happened, they were nowhere to be found. They didn't react or respond on time. It took a while before some police officers and soldiers came to attend to the issue. So I have been speaking to some of these eyewitnesses who narrate and tell me what they saw on that fateful day. How have you felt after seeing the whole incident? Now, lady, you know, how long did it even take for her to even move the car away?
I was rushing when you're crossing, going and Tiasia. You're rushing who's on Scarrow Argentina, Emily. A man of parking on that side, and soldier wants to buy late. On banners, I didn't see you.
Soldiers and police.
Soldiers in a buy. Soldier for the didn't buy. On by late now, at the actual way, original. Also, go change, go on to change, one bed on
a woman now, or shooting, they intend on shooting, not a not yet a man now say, like that.
Woman not to Cadaneci. And no Cadaman show. Almost years operation, almost to be our show. It was Cadaman and Gomukuno no Yan who teach him. Ujane was Sigane, and I again. The girls will see our ass of Jan and son of Opegan is here. What she has said. The son of Yen is here, and I say, a Komukuna Kazankasan and Sunday Sevuno.
Tunde Kosopa, Tuni Papa, and do Grand Tiamite. We told you, Gane, I ran up a coming so, and there can again a cannon and a Blabacrana at the Nicole Hospital.
So that was September 20. Zoe Abubedu went back there. This is the Achimota interchange. close to Apenkwa, where this incident occurred. We also have more information on the incident that occurred at Sampa Valley. Calvis Hammond, our correspondent for the Ewutu and the Kasua Enclave, has more information on that incident, which also occurred in broad daylight.
Robbery.
Hey, robbery.
Hey, robbery.
Hey, robbery.
The video of the robbery incident at Sampa Valley got many talking on social media, with calls on the Ghana Police Service to up their game in the fight against crime. Some lament that they still live in fear of the unknown after yesterday's incident.
It was around 9:20 in the morning. We were all around and we heard a gunshot. So we came out, the neighbors, we came out. And as we came out, we saw 4 guys on motor bicycle. Then they started giving gunshot to the ground. So the one at the back just opened the car gate and took some bags from the car, and they gave another one also. So when they were coming, they were saying, give way, give way, give way, give way. And they just drove off. As you can see, people are not in the hood. They're all indoor and stuff because of what happened yesterday.
Are you scared?
Yes, I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
We were shocked when it happened, so everybody was scared at the time. So now, because anything can happen.
There have been efforts in the past by the community members and the police to fight crime in the enclave, with the establishment of a checkpoint which was manned by officers from the Ghana Police Service. But according to residents, that has stopped, and they would want it reintroduced to help win the fight against crime.
Seeing the police makes us feel very safe. So if they could bring the police back on post every evening, or sometimes a patrol team, even if it's in the afternoon, because this place can be very quiet even during the afternoon too. So I think the police visibility will help us also feel safe.
I want the security in the area to be beefed up. I mean, they should go back to the old system whereby they have the police security post in front of, as you can see, at the back of this place. If they can bring them back, I think that incident will not happen again.
We need a tight security system, so that will be okay. We are still scared about what's happening. Everybody is scared. Even those passing by are scared. What about we working around?
This is still the point of view. Tonight we're trying to understand what really is happening with what we consider to be the increasing spate of street robberies. That report was by Calvis Tete. Calvis Hammond is a musician, it's a different person. I have in studio Johnson Ekwamwa Boateng. He is with the Small Arms Commission. I'm going to speak to him shortly. I'll also take you to the police command center at the National Operations, where they have lots of sophisticated systems they're using to monitor the whole country. But earlier today, I spoke to 2 victims. So far, we're taking you to, of course, what happened in Apenkwa and Sampa in Weja. There's a particular part of Adenta housing down which seems to be becoming notorious for daylight robbery. We spoke to some of the victims, of course, because of the nature of what happened to them. We would give them the anonymity they deserve, but these 2 people suffered robberies in the past 3 weeks. So here, I spoke to them earlier today. So Emmanuel is a viewer and a listener of CT. He has a story to share about what happened to him and what tends to happen in his area, which is Adenta housing down. The most recent incident, we are told, occurred on Friday. Emmanuel, thanks for joining us on The Point of View.
Hello, yes, Bernard.
So what happened to you on Friday?
So on Friday, normally I go home a little early, so I take over. I don't know whether to say luckily for me. That Friday I was late, so I go home a little late. So upon arriving, I was told that we had 2 motorcycles. It is a motorcycle. It came and parked in front of the shop. So ideally, when someone parks at the front of the shop, you are expected to at least get up and serve the person. Before that, I was told that my siblings were around, so they decided to take a stroll. So it was left with just my auntie in the shop. So they came, and then my auntie, in seeing someone, obviously you have to stand up and serve the person. Then this person comes up and pulls a gun pointing the gun at my auntie. And she's astonished, she's surprised. What's going on? So she tries to get up and go. And the guy said, the one on the motorbike said, shut up and sit down. I was like, So she's surprised. What's going on? What's going on? She doesn't understand what's going on. So then the guy pulls a gun, showing on my auntie that she should bring her phone. She's still surprised, but then she hands over the phone. And the guy asks that, do you have money? And she said no, she doesn't have money. But then her bag was in front of her. So the guy picks up the bag with money in it, with the ID cards, wallets, everything in the bag. Picks it up, and the guy shouts, let's go. Then they sit on the motorbike. But then when they were leaving, that was when my sisters were coming. So they saw the action taking place, and they started shouting, Kung Fu. But then it was late.
Around what time did this happen?
That was around 7
p.m.?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
What area is this?
This is Adenta down, Housing down. It's around the Queenstown area.
What language were the people speaking?
So they were speaking English. The shut up was in English. But then they came, they are not masked. They don't wear anything. They came like we can see their face.
Wow.
They came just like, yes. It's not the first time. It's happened before. That one, I was there, and it happened to me.
Narrate what happened. So what you've just narrated to me is something that happened in your absence, and you came and met it. In my
absence.
This was just this Friday. In your house.
Yes, this Friday, my house.
There's a shop in front of your house. But then you are saying this. Yes. You have a similar incident that occurred.
I have a similar incident. That I was there at the shop.
Same shop.
Same shop.
And what happened to you?
So with me, I happened to be there with a colleague, a father figure of mine, and one lady. Then I realized that 2 people on the motorbike the same way were taking someone's phone in front of the shop. So I saw them pull the gun that the person should bring the phone. So the guy that was being robbed is my friend. So I saw him giving me a signal that after that they are coming to my shop, so I should run away. And I had to jump the wall, go back and see if I could get some help. By the time I came back, they've already taken the man's car keys because they thought I was going to chase them, probably, even though I was really scared because they were bringing the gun to us. So I had to jump and run away, leaving them to their fate. And they sped off with the car key and left the car key on the side. This is just numerous of them. This is just 2 of them. But we've had several cases. A lot of them.
In the same area?
In the same area, the Light Academy area, because it's... So what happened to you?
So about a month ago, when I was on my way to work around 4:50 a.m. on a Friday, I was walking beside a gutter. Then I just saw that 2 guys were on a motorbike, and then they just came in front of me and parked in front of me. And the other guy at the back just got off the motorbike, pointed a gun at me, and signaled me to bring my bag. At that point, I thought I was dreaming because I was like, what is really about to happen? So I panicked and stepped back, and that made me fall in the gutter. And even in the gutter, I was shouting, help me, help me, help me, on top of my voice. Even though I was scared, I was still shouting, and the gun was still at me, like, bring your bag, bring your bag. He didn't talk, he signaled me. I still didn't surrender, but I surrendered after I realized that what if this guy shoots me right now? Could that be the end of me? That was when I surrendered, and he pulled the bag from me, and it was left with the bag strap. So when it happened like that, he climbed on the motorbike and they zoomed off. And at that point, I was helpless. I kept on shouting, and a truck driver also was coming towards that junction, and they pointed a gun at him. There was another guy also going down the road. They pointed a gun at him also. Then they zoomed off. I shouted, and people came around. And at that point, I was so confused that I didn't even know that my phone had fallen out of my bag. And at that point, when I was walking, when I locked my door, I carried my key on my finger. So the key also fell in the gutter when I fell. So at that point, I was so confused and I didn't know anything of that sort dropped in the gutter. So people around picked up the things for me. And when I saw my phone and my key, I heaved a sigh of relief because those two things were important, because I had important stuff on the phone and my key too led to my house. So I was glad those things were safe. So
what area is this?
This is Adenta, New Legon, around Ubolo Junction.
So there are a few more, but we need to cut it here. So those are two victims, and this is Adenta housing down New Legon area. We saw the first one from Apenkwa. We also saw a report which chronicled different parts of Accra. Later on, you'll be hearing from the police on what they're doing. But let me bring in Studio Johnson Asante Chum. He's a Deputy Director, Head of Programs at the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission of Ghana. We'll take a few thoughts from him before we go to the police. Johnson, thanks for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so far, all the people we've spoken to and all the videos we've seen, a few things run through. These are weapon-holding young men, typically on motorbikes. And most of these are happening in the day. As somebody who's been working in this area, does that surprise you?
Thank you for having me. Good evening to your viewers. Yes and no. Yes, because one would have expected that the work that is being done by the police, coupled with the fact that we have CCTVs mounted around vantage points, especially in Accra, people will be a bit cautious in the way and manner in which, these kind of robberies are carried out. So at that point, you think that, people have just thrown caution to the wind in going about the way they do it. You also would look at the situations and the circumstances under which these young men are operating. First of all, you also would have thought that with the advent of digitization, mobile money and all that, people will not carry huge sums of money on them in daylight the way, it has happened, and would have thought that they would have used the banking system properly and the digital system in transferring money or transacting business instead of carrying money. Anytime you see these things happening, you would not rule out the fact that there is an insider job. Either somebody within the household of these people who know the movements of them, whether they are going to carry this money from a specific bank at a particular time and to a particular location. And therefore, these robbers are usually tipped off and they work out. Again, you also will find that either somebody operating within the system, either the banking system, or somebody, lurking around the banking hall. So all the people you see around the banking hall are not people who are genuinely transacting business. Some of them come in suit and tie like you and I, and you think that these are, sometimes they come, they pretend to be writing, but they are collecting information. They see who is taking what sums of money, which is why it is not advisable these days to be carrying huge sums of money on you. So to that extent, I am not surprised that these things are happening. Again, you want to look at the modus operandi and the way in which they operate, the instruments they use. First of all, the motorbike, which allows them to move easily within traffic. And even if you want to pursue them, it will be very difficult for the police on their pickups to pursue them, and arrest. So it's easier because of the traffic situation in Accra. It facilitates this kind of movement. Then again, it comes to the deadly instruments, the weapon, which is used to scare the people around, because ordinarily, if these people were using their hands, then it's easier for the boys around to pounce on them and take it, which is why the weapon become the center of the discussion, because even if you are 50 and you pull the weapon, a lot of you will start running away. And that is why the weapon now become the focus and the center of the conversation, because without it, it would be very difficult for them to carry out, such activity.
We will come to the weapon when we come back, because the police have said they've arrested some people. In fact, there was a report that a 67-year-old man who is more like a nerve center for supplying weapons to robbers in a particular enclave had been arrested. We also will try and understand where the weapons are coming from, because there appear to be routes where these weapons are coming from. But the point of view tonight is trying to first give you a sense of the seriousness of these street robberies. And we've just shown you a few incidents, the high profile ones we've shown you. When we come back, I'll go into the police control room to try and find out how they survey, or the kind of surveillance system they have to make sure they see what happened. So the Apenkwa video we saw was captured on the police CCTV. Where else are they looking? And how safe are we? We also have Johnson still here with us. This is the point of view. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight we're focusing on street robberies. My guest in the studio is Johnson Asantichum, who is the Head of Programs and Deputy Director of the Small Arms Commission. Just a quick overview of some of the crimes. So armed robbers on a motorbike ran away with 29,000 cedis at Apenkwa on September the 20th. And then on 24th September, Sampa Valley in Waja, 9 a.m., armed men on a motorbike robbed occupants in a white car. They had AK-47 assault rifles, and they did some damage. We also have 2:05 p.m. on 9 June, Police Service Headquarters received information of something happened at Pig Farm. We spoke about that earlier. Afikiko traffic lights as well. Within that same month, there was a robbery. And then the two unknown men collected a victim's black backpack containing 32,000 cedis. Within that same week, there was the Forex Bureau near the UNDP head office near Honeysuckle. Again, some money was stolen. And then we also have other reports. Commercial vehicle trotro crashed after knocking down two robbers who were escaping after robbing on a motorbike at Soutum. And then we have one that happened at a place called Pelungu Market. And this was a crime scene where robbers stole about 750 cedis and some mobile phones. A van carrying an unknown amount of cash was stolen by some men in a taxi cab known as men on a motorbike known as Okada at Jamestown. Bullion van was shot. Within the same month, there was an incident at Airport Jacobu place in the Ashanti region. And then there was also the Amasaman incident that occurred and a few others. Now, a few hours before we came on air, we went to the police headquarters to try and find out from them what systems they've put in place to nip this in the bud. Now, we know that CP Kwesi Fori is the Director General of Police Public Affairs. He's been speaking throughout the weekend, but we caught up with him about an hour and a half ago at this MTTD center. I'll just take you there to show what they have and what he said to me about what they are doing. Still, the point of view, we are being given rare and privileged access to a building which is part of the National Operations Directorate. We are at the MTTD Traffic and Surveillance Center, which is part of the infrastructure put in place to monitor traffic, to prevent crime across the country. We're privileged to have the Director General of Police Public Affairs in the person of ACP Kwesi Fori to give us some insights into the latest fighting against crime. Later on, we'll be given a walkthrough as to how they also deal with traffic issues. Thank you so much for allowing us. Are we the first media house to be allowed in here?
I think you've been here before.
So, one of the reasons we are doing this program is the CCTV footage we saw online at Apenkwa, where we saw some criminals essentially accost the woman and take her money. Were those shots taken from this place?
Yes, we have special cameras with special security features across the country. And recently, the Acting Inspector General of Police activated this center, aimed at one, ensuring that all infractions caused, things done against the law in terms of traffic, in terms of crime, in terms of whatever that borders on criminality, this place has a capability and capacity to have a general overview of it. And this time around, aside the patrols that you see, the deployment that you see at the intersections, joints, strategic areas, and the vehicular patrols that you see in and around Tema and countrywide, we are supporting it now with technology. And this special facility assists us. That is the quiet policeman on the lookout. And it affords us the opportunity to know what is happening in our towns and cities. And we are so determined, to fight all manner of crime. Even the broad daylight robberies that we've seen and the footage seen, we can say that we are going all out, to make sure that we contain them. And we'll use every lawful means, to deal with that situation and stop it.
So even though this is under MTTD and it's motor traffic, you're saying that it also serves as a way of monitoring crime in general?
In general.
I see. So what happens? So assuming you see somebody on a motorbike or in a car attacking somebody here, what typically would happen?
As part of our revised strategy in fighting emerging crimes and these robbers on our streets, immediately that is spotted, a patrol team will be assigned to deal with the situation. Depending upon the kind of crime, we'll send the appropriate force level, to deal with it. And so there is a communication between the center and all police officers out there on our police channel, and we'll make sure that we use this technology to enhance whatever good thing we're doing in crime fighting.
I'm asking because we spoke to some of the eyewitnesses, I think at the Apenkwa one, where they were saying the robbers left before the security forces got in. I think it was a few minutes.
Yes, as I said, 3 days ago, the Acting Inspector General of Police called for a crunch meeting among the Tema Regional Police Commander, the Accra Regional Commander, and all divisional commanders within Accra and Tema. And the meeting took us to late night, and we have revised our strategies, our response level, and the way and manner, we're moving to deal with the deadly criminals. And so we've upgraded it to a level now. And that is why you see a lot of policemen on static duties, foot patrols, vehicular patrols, and we have the intelligence wing also performing their job. And the center throws a searchlight all over, to assess our patrol teams on the ground. So it is a serious business that we're conducting, and we'll make sure that, we deal with the situation. But for now, we've upgraded our services. We've also seen how best our response level could be improved. And I think it has been improved through re-strategizing and, making sure that we serve the people better.
So in the specific case of the 2 videos, there's one which was taken obviously by your cameras. That's the one I referred to. There's another one that happened, I think, in the western part of Accra. Have any arrests been made? Have you had any leads on those 2 specific robbery instances?
Thank you very much. We are closing in. We know who they are. We know what they do in the city and their way of doing things. And we are poised, to get them. And before many days, we're going to achieve results. We are so determined and empowered to do that.
So generally speaking, what do you say to the public? Because there appears to be a fear, and the fact that some of these people are doing it in broad daylight. Some of these crimes take place not within the purview of your cameras. For example, we got a lot of calls from housing down at Denta, that sometimes even in the day, people are attacked. So places where your cameras are not, what kind of assurance are you giving that you are on top of those ones too?
As I said, with Zone Accra, we have operational bases across the city, and we patrol. Apart from that, also the center, we have other rooms that also receive emergency calls. And when such calls come in, quickly available patrol teams within that jurisdiction are called upon to duty. And that is what we are doing. And you might have noted that the districts, the divisions, supported by the Accra Regional and National Headquarters operations, are coordinating this operation very well. And we have policemen all over. And we will sustain it and make sure that we nip some of these criminals.
Is this thing, and this is my final point, is this thing an Accra thing or is this a national?
It's a national thing. It has several cameras and they have the capacity and capability to move it to other areas. For instance, let's move to Ashanti region and Tamale.
So there's a desk for each region, and they can switch to the region to monitor what's going on.
Even on their.
But is there a similar center in Ashanti, or this is the national? So this covers the whole country.
This is the national, cover the whole country.
I see. So if you want to see what's happening, say at Swami Runabout, you can check.
Let's go to Swami.
Wow.
Swami.
Please check it. Any official check.
As we are speaking, I can see Ashaman Market, which is, I see Hansonic Dansoman. So you've chosen, how do you choose the places, by the way?
We do a lot of crime mapping. And then other intelligence-based analysis. And we have specific areas that we look at. There are others that are known, others are also emerging. So we move in tandem with real situations.
Wow. So you can go to, how many cameras have you installed across the country?
The cameras are many. For security reasons, I think we may pause on that, but we have a national capability.
I see. So this is Swami Runabout.
Doom, Konongo, all those things are Lana.
So these are in separate folders.
I said he wants Runabout Swami.
Whilst we, yeah. Okay, you take me to a Doom. Okay, Abreport Junction. Go to Abreport Junction. Let's see.
My place.
Abreport Junction. So there are about 4 or 5 cameras in Abreport Junction. Okay. So it's multiple cameras at this location.
Camera with special security features.
Given different angles.
Abreport.
Okay.
Abreport,
so some of this is blurred for security reasons.
Yeah.
I see.
A doom that you call for, that's a doom area.
And are you saying that for each place you show me, there are patrols waiting?
There are patrols around. They are not even waiting.
Okay.
Now we have operational bases. For instance, if you are assigned at, say, Accra Sports Stadium area in Osu, you have a base and you move in as and when necessary. At times also they may have a discretionary movement. You know, they have the discretion to move in and around the area, stop, observe, and move forward. And when duty calls, they speedily, tackle the situation head on.
Okay. 2 final issues. A lot of the recent reports have involved motorbikes and also guns. What are you doing in relation to the motorbikes? Most of the crimes reported, at least in the past few days that we've seen, the guys are usually 2. One of them will have a gun, sometimes 2 or 3 motorbikes, but usually there are 2 on a bike. What is the police intention to deal with that?
We have the motor assault team called the Robberies. They are also in there, and they have that capability also to be on them. And let me use this opportunity to say that apart from the recent robbery that we've seen, last month or so, we witnessed some of the robbers on motorbike moving to Opebia area near the airport, trailing a businessman who went in for money.
Through the system?
And we saw the Accra Regional Operations with that force capability, exchanging fire with them, and 3 of them fell.
So this was preemptive, based on what you had seen?
Yes. And they were killed because they were not prepared to submit to authority, and they were using weapons, toward the direction of the police. Secondly, also, we witnessed one also at Awudome. There are some banks over there. A woman went in for money, and they pounced on the woman. Timely intervention from a member of the public called the police, the 18555 and the 191. The police quickly moved in and then arrested one. One who was trying to use firearm was shot and killed. So we have several interventions that we've made, only that it has not come to public.
Do you have any
attention.
recommendations about the use of motorbikes that you think will come to later on? Because, as I said, a lot of these criminals tend to use motorbikes. That doesn't mean everybody on a motorbike is a criminal.
Yeah.
But my question is, based on what you've observed over the past few months, is the police minded to make other recommendations about the usage of motorbikes beyond what the law says?
Yes, there are discussions, as to how we should be able to contain, the use of motorbikes in crime. But one of the countermeasures is we're strengthening our rover patrol teams. You might have noticed that we've taken even stock of new motorbikes, and they are on the street assisting patrolling, and they are well trained, mostly personnel from the National Operations, the CTU, the counter-terrorism, and they are all into it, and the SWAT teams, they are all into it. And I believe that we're doing a good job. Don't forget, even at the TTC, mobile money vendor was attacked, and some of the teams went in, and then the 3 of them received various injuries, and they were arrested. And so we've been doing a lot of intervention, and those things did not attract, high public conversation.
What about the weapons? Where are they getting these weapons from? And are you doing anything to deal with the source of these weapons for these criminals?
Don't forget that West Africa, our sub-region, ran into problems in the yesteryears, where a lot of light weapons came into the sub-region. And from experts, we've seen trend of movement of guns from one place to the other. Though the police, customs, excise and preventive service, immigration service, national security and the armed forces, we've done a lot of special tax operations along the border areas. Even within the country, the police also has done a lot together with the other security services. They've been seizures. For instance, today we saw we did a special operations, that was yesterday, and we even seized 2 weapons. And you might have noticed that some of these weapons are unlicensed weapons. They are illegal. They illegally, possess it. So through some operations, we've had a lot of seizures, and the court finally, calls for its distraction after we finish with the cases against the criminal. So we are on, and the Commission on Small Arms also helps, in analysis and projecting for the benefit of the security services. So we are in partnership with all these institutions. The police itself has arms and ammunition department, which also monitors some of these things and advise appropriately.
Thank you very much, ACP Kosifori, DG Police Public Affairs. Thank you very much for talking to us. This is still the point of view. We are trying to understand the police's response to the recent wave in some of the crimes we've seen. And I'm happy we have been allowed into a very special unit. We are here at the National Operations Directorate, and we've been allowed into the MTTD Traffic Monitoring and Surveillance Center. As ACP Kosifori said, this is multiple. It's not just for traffic management. It's also for crime prevention and investigation. We read the system of these weapons. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight we're talking about the increased spate of street robberies. Still in studio, Johnson Asante Chum. Earlier on we had ACP Kosifori. So you heard him. He said they are working with you. He commends you for what you're doing. What else can you tell us about the weapon side of this discussion? Has it become easier for criminals to get access to weapons?
Thank you, Bernard. Yes, to some extent. And not just access to weapons, but the type of weapons that the criminals are using now. In time past, the police record showed that 80% of all weapons used in the commission of crime were locally made. Today, the story is different.
Wow.
We have over 75% between 2017 and 2019, on the average, of all weapons used in the commission of crime being foreign made weapons.
75%?
75 plus, 75.3, the data we have.
It's now foreign made?
It's now foreign made. And you're looking at something between 24 plus percent being locally made.
Where are they coming from?
Exactly the question. Now, you are looking at the West African sub-region, where, like Kwesifori said, the challenges you have from Libya, Niger, the Casamance, where you have the Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb operating. It's a large area, not policed by anybody. And however they get the weapons, only God knows. And in essence, it comes from the higher concentration to lower concentration areas. And then all the way to Mali and then Burkina Faso. And all these countries have had one disturbance or the other. And the weapons, are there. Our western neighbor, Cote d'Ivoire, has had their fair share of their disturbance. And not just the disturbance, you have armories being run down in Cote d'Ivoire. And those weapons, only God knows, where they are. Disturbing among them is also that some of the recent finds of weapons or arrests by police are actually weapons from state security agencies of some of these countries.
So these are official weapons?
Official weapons, some of them, that you find, because ECOWAS had mandated all of us to mark our weapons. And therefore, when we find them, those who have marked, you can easily trace the weapons to some sources. Some of them is difficult. We need to go back and trace. So that is the situation now with foreign. It will also be unfair to blame it only on our West African neighbors. Some developed countries, like the United States of America, is also one of the sources from which some of these weapons come. And that comes from our own compatriots, from the door-to-door shipment that you find, from the normal containers that they bring, and also from the usual washing machines. Now, for instance, in 2016, we had our counterpart in US, which they call the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, visited us. And their concern was simple. We are making a lot of arrests in the US of weapons purported to be coming to Ghana. And they wanted to find if there are correspondent arrests here. And we asked them, how are you finding them? So most of them are concealed in personal belongings that people are shipping. For instance, washing machines and imported vehicles. These are also the conduits in which people are shipping some of these illegally into the country, selling them and making so much money. So these are myriad of issues and routes. That
so some are from the sub-region, and some are from the Western countries through our ports.
Through our ports.
Did you find out if there was corresponding arrests?
Unfortunately, not the scale at which, they had
So
reported.
Even though they are trying to prevent the weapons from leaving, they get in here and we don't seem to be able to stop it.
Yes and no, again, because some of them we find, some we are not able to find. Now, recently you saw the 436 that the customs arrested, and then the recent 3 that they also arrested.
So what type of weapons are we talking about?
Well, we are talking about generally small arms, okay, and small arms is a very broad category, which is a weapon that can be used just by one person. So all the AKMs, AK-47s, the side arms, the G3s, all of them are categorized as small arms. Worst of it is that some of these weapons that are used in robbery are weapons that we are not allowing civilians to possess. And then you find civilians having it. But of course, in some of the countries I have mentioned, especially the developed ones, gun culture is different. So.
But if you have 100 weapons in the hands of wrong people in Ghana, what percentage comes from the sub-region? What percentage comes from the port? And what percentage is made here?
That I will not be able to give you immediately in terms of exactitude, but majority will be coming from the sub-region.
So if you have 100 weapons in Ghana, what percentage is legal and what percentage is illegal?
It's almost 50-50. Because
50-50?
Exactly.
Of all the weapons in the country?
Yes.
So this includes all that our soldiers and police have?
Because, no, not the ones in civilian hands. Now, don't forget that globally, there are about 875 million weapons in circulation globally. Out of that, 59% are in civilian hands.
Wow.
Yes.
And in Ghana?
And in Ghana, we have about 2.3 million weapons in civilian hands, both legal and illegal.
2.3 million.
Exactly, in civilian hands. But this is also figures around 2016, and beyond that means that we've gone more. We've not been able to do the baseline survey again. But out of the 2.3, you are looking at 1.1 million illegal, and then 1.2 million legal.
Do you have any breakdown of the illegal? Which regions have the most?
At the survey, the northern region, ironically, had the most, followed by Ashanti region, and then Greater Accra.
So it suggests they are coming down.
Exactly. So you see, now I say ironically because in the northern region at the time we did the survey up to now, civilians are not permitted to possess weapons in the large part of the north because of the challenges they had. And
yet the most of the private small arms were in the northern region.
In the northern region. And then followed by Ashanti and then Greater Accra.
So it's reasonable to believe they are coming down from the Burkina side?
Reasonably, yes. Reasonably, yes. But as I said, if you look at the challenges within the West African sub-region, mostly the Libya section, the Burkina from Mali, Niger, even in Cote d'Ivoire that we talk about, the northern part of Cote d'Ivoire straddled through Burkina Faso, around that area. And then it comes
So what's
down.
the solution? Do we do a gun for money thing? Can you say, if you have a gun, bring it, we'll take it and give you something in return? What's the best way to deal with this?
There are a myriad of ways to deal with it, which is one of it that you suggest. That we call it the weapon buyback. But that calls for a lot of money. And you need to exercise a lot of caution in doing it, because once you are doing it and people see that the money you are offering is huge.
They'll go and steal weapons and collect money.
And sometimes they bring you old weapons
to buy new
ones. And then sometimes they know if it is higher, they'll bring you, go and buy.
So what's the most effective approach for a country like Ghana? I have only 2 minutes.
Okay, so we have intelligent-led operations, which will be most effective. You also have enhanced security at the borders using technology, which we don't have now. But thankfully, the Commission has been given some permission to set up at some selected borders. And our partners are also supporting us with technology, with some of the countries I have mentioned, because it's a cross-border thing. We are looking at Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, these 3 countries, ensuring that we pilot this project along our borders. Very soon, we'll have the green light to set up. But for COVID and its challenges, this would have been done last year. It's really have drawn the project back. We are still working around it to see if by next year we'll be able to roll it up. And then we will mount it at the ports and also at some of the borders, particularly the Lubu Paga areas, to see if we can use that to detect those that come through the legal route. But the major question is the illegal vast span of land around that area, from Paga through Kulungungu, Mognori area, through Sankase, that's the Togo line, coming all the way down, how you patrol this area. And then you take also, there's Abzugu Tatale area around Togo, and then you come to the Lubu, Sampa areas, which is also another issue. So these are issues that we need to deal with. But like ACP Kwesifori said, constantly in touch with them, offering advice as to what can be done, from the security point of view, and from our point of view in terms of analyzing and providing some form of solutions to them, because we are not really into operations.
Okay. So thank you. That's quite insightful. We've been speaking to Johnson Asante-Twum. He is the Deputy Director and Head of Programs at the Ghana Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Earlier on, we were at the Police MTTD Surveillance and Monitoring Center, where we spoke to ACP Kwesifori, Director General for PR and Communications. Earlier on, we also had various reports of crime, particularly street robberies. Hope you've learned something new. Thank you for watching tonight's edition of The Point of View. Coming up next is the Business Dashboard. Stay with us.
The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile. Enterprise Life. Enterprise. your advantage. Bell Aqua Active. Bell Aqua Active. Stay true to originality.